All right, good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 8:51 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, June 30th. Just making sure we're running here. All right, sorry about that. So let me start again. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 8:52 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, June 30th. Obviously, the last day of June and the last day of the quarter. So typically, you get a little window dressing. I just don't know if we can get any window dressing. We have some Red Star events tomorrow, and then of course the big event for the week is on Friday with non-farm payroll, and then the market is closed on the following Monday. So we'll see what we get from here. But we have come up and held, off of this little breakout, mustered up 60 points or so off of that level, and we'll see what happens off of that. Looking at everything else, let's just go ahead and open these up here. So as we look at really where we are and what's going on here, uh, the Russell and the Dow both have been struggling, right? The Russell keeps coming up to get in this all-time high and back down, and the Russell's basically been in consolidation since February. Uh, but it is treating support and resistance lines now as resistance as it has basically since uh, last Friday. So we'll see what happens with that. Does it continue to do that or not? It can get down to, I would say, getting below or right around 70, 22.75 is going to be the telltale, and holding up above 88.5 would be better. And you can draw, a fib from the low on the 20th to high, and then watch that as well. But you had one push down, two push down. You couldn't get potentially another one. You could argue that some of this was blah 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 in here, but we'll see what we get out of that. I'm not going to get too caught up in it. Looking at the ES, I don't really have any nothing really to add. Uh, to the basic support resistance charts, we're just fumbling around up here. The same with the NASDAQ, we're just fumbling around up here. And then as we look at the Dow, it looks more like the Russell, where as it's fallen, right, it did get a healthy bid back up, and it is holding that 34,000 zone, right, that it finally got into yesterday and tested. But until it starts treating these support resistance zones as support instead of resistance, it looks a little suspect to me. So 34,215, 34,354 will be where I'm looking at, and then below this 33,998 would be potential resistance if we go down to at least 33,877. So backing up on the NASDAQ, and just one thing to point out here on a little bit different of a time frame. If you just look at the fib sequence that is from basically May 19th up to and I didn't draw this exact, but you can do it on your own computer, up until June 8th, right? When we had that, let me do that again. My bad. So let me try this again. From the May 19th up until June 1st, right? We had that consolidation that we were stuck in for 2 weeks, basically a 105-point range. It come back down, stopped out all those people that were in there, hit a 38.2 retracement on basically the third, right? Well, we're at that neg 100 profit target now. So the Nasdaq could just stall around up here and then start, some variations of retracements now, but it could easily fall back in the next, you know, 3 weeks all the way back down to 13,773 before it even does anything. So I'll end up adding a marker to that level, but that's the level that I'm really going to be paying attention to see, and it'll probably have some failed attempts at long continuation before then. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna watch the Nasdaq now. I'm gonna be looking for you know potential stalling and retracements, and we'll see. Right, it could obviously keep going up, but the odds don't favor it with it being the end of the quarter. So keep that in mind for the Nasdaq. That if you are running these tighter sequences up for the Nasdaq, don't be too complacent. Make sure you have some stops on the server. It could be 300-400 point day down day easily sometime in the near future for the Nasdaq. Looking at the overnight action, about 21 points. And again, I talked about this, a couple different times. Looking at May 19th up to the high, basically on June 15th for the ES, we come back down to this halfway back during the bell session. It ended right around 41.50. We've come up, and that profit target, you can draw some different variations, and but basically 42.90 to 43.15 ish is that sell zone. We've hit 91 yesterday. We hit 90 in the overnight session. There seems to be some interested sellers up here in the zone. Again, algos have been turned off since last Wednesday, right? They were on Monday and Tuesday last week. They've been off. They've just let this market float up. And it looks like they might be back on again in the overnight session. So as we look at, what's going on with everyone, we've got the, everyone except for the Nasdaq has tested below yesterday's bell low of the day, and we have the Russell and the Dow who, led the breakdowns and have been the weakest the last several days, right? We have single prints above that act as resistance. They're coming down. We held the support zone for the Russell. I'm going to give you that right now. But as we look at this zone, this will be very bearish if it can't hold this. 2285 basically to 2290 is that area, and not being able to hold up above that is going to be bearish later on in the session, and that should act as resistance if it starts falling below it. Looking at the Dow, until the Dow and the Russell could change its stem as well, right? It's got overhead resistance at 2308 half to 2309.70. It needs to break that, get into value, and start doing something. And the other one, the Dow, right, it would need to get above 34,221 to 34,231, right, to not be bearish. So it looks like we're in for some retracements, in my opinion, and we'll see if they can hold or not. Typically, on the last day of the month, you'll get a flat to up, flat to slightly up market. But what could happen here is we end up starting to build some sequences, and I think tomorrow we have a much better chance at taking a deeper pullback. But we could get a more of a shallow pullback today, and maybe rally back up towards the close into the next short position, and really let tomorrow take a little leg down as we're getting in towards that non-farm payroll. Keep in mind that the first day of the month, usually money does come into the market, so that can be counter to that. But I think odds favor us retracing a little bit lower at this point in time, and it looks like the algos have turned that switch on. Hope this helps. We'll watch the overnight value areas, and for everything except for the Nasdaq, and if the Nasdaq gets below basically 14,500, it could join the party. But we could end up with a trending day down today with just a lot of heavy consolidation where those next short entries end up being. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.